What's one thing you're deeply proud of, but would never put on your resume? In World of Warcraft I was attempting to kill this elite rare spawn. It was reasonably difficult to do solo and would take several minutes to get done. While I was about 3/4 the way through killing it, 3 other players showed up, killed me, and stole the rare spawn kill. A little bit later, the rare spawn was up again and I saw those same 3 people killing it. I ran in and killed all 3 of them and stole my rare spawn kill back from them, ending the whole ordeal with just a few % of my health left. It didn't drop anything great, but it was so satisfying. Once in elementary school, lunch was ending and I found a perfect condition blue eyes white dragon on the ground. Hell yeah, I picked that crap up and walked towards my class as rain was beginning to fall. That's when I turned the corner to see a kid panicking and crying, running around feverishly. I asked him what was wrong and he said he lost his blue eyes white dragon. It took a lot of willpower to give it up. My parents couldn't afford to buy me booster packs or anything, but I did give it back to him then and there. I look back on it fondly now. It helps when I feel like a waste of air. It's what Yuji would have done. I got a call from a friend who also raised goats. She had a 5-month-old who had a bum leg and the older kids were picking on her. I picked her up, but it was the start of a long weekend and every vet was closed for the next several days. Turns out, she had broken her hind leg, about 3 inches above her ankle. Clean break, no broken skin. I set it, then splintered it with a soda bottle cut so it would roll on itself. Wrapped it in vet wrap, planning to stabilize it through the weekend. Couldn't get an appointment until a week later, where an x-ray showed that the leg was healing perfectly. I feel like you could use that for a how do you respond during stress or a time you've gone above and beyond type interview question. Ate a whole head of iceberg lettuce in under 11 minutes. Most of my friends didn't even finish but I'm the lettuce king. You are the new president of the lettuce club and are responsible for next year's meeting. I've donated over 10 gallons of blood to the Red Cross. I actually had it on my resume for a while but some people get really weird about it. Depends whether or not it was your blood. Not sure if this belongs here, but I'm real proud of an accomplishment I had in 10th grade, a little over a decade ago. Now, I was taking a regular geometry class and we were given our midterm. I got through it quickly, but there was a bonus question on the back. I'm not sure how much it was worth, but the question was basically this. Here's an extremely abstract object. Find its area. Oh yeah, not telling you the length of any of its sides. Have fun. I spent about an hour on this one question. Now mind you, it was multiple choice, so I could have guessed and had a 25% chance. But nah, I wanted to crack it, so I brought out my ruler, drew dotted lines, etc., and got to the answer. When the teacher gave back out tests, he asked those who got the bonus question right to raise their hands. He then asked those who actually worked out the problem to keep their hands raised, and the rest were to lower theirs. I was the only one who still had their hand raised. Teacher, I gave this question to all of my classes, including my honors students. Out of them all, Dxel is the only one who correctly worked out the problem. Dxel, can you please come to the board and show everyone how to do it? After I copied my work to the board, my teacher followed up with, he's right. Boom. This made my school year, but obviously I'd never put it on a resume. LOL. I'm a 5'4" 110 pound lady and I managed to stab an assailant in the face with my keys. Although it makes me seem crazy, it was my first physical altercation with someone 4x my size and I am proud that I didn't die or cry. That does not make you seem crazy. Props to you for successfully defending yourself, and sorry you had to go through it. When I was 17, I tried out for an Olympic team and nearly made the cut. They wanted 6 team members and I was 8th. I'm embarrassed about what it was for though so I don't tell anyone. I'm really good at getting things done at the last minute. I'd not want that on a resume because it implies that I procrastinate, true, and because it might mean getting really crappy deadlines. Turn it around. You are skilled in determining task requirements in regards to time and resources. One time, while using a public urinal, I farted loudly. The automatic paper towel dispenser behind me dispensed a sheet of paper towel. My friends don't believe me. The other night I farted in the kitchen and made the dishes in the sink shift. It may have been coincidence, but I like to think otherwise. I used to be a really good tennis player. I would play on international circuits and everything. But now the only thing that applies to my resume is that I was a captain for 1 year on my college team. This should go on a resume. Add it in miscellaneous at the bottom. The sports culture in the US is huge and people see that as dedication and discipline. I'm a hiring manager and the department heads I search for love extracurriculars like this. I'm very wealthy in RuneScape. Built my fortune mining coal and iron then smelting steel bars. Eventually moved on into buying and selling before grand exchange days. I have one of the best collections of 1960s era guitar pedals in the world. It's taken years of spending all my free time at a computer monitoring local classifieds ads around the world. But, fortunately, very few people care about that sort of thing. 0 posts on our guitar pedals. Very disappointing. I once caught a gummy bear in my mouth thrown off a 4-story parking garage at night. So I guess that's the one. My years as a stand-up comic. I've been doing it for over 6 years and it's my favorite thing in the world to do, but I can't put any of it on a resume. My personal best 100 meters time is 10.89 seconds. I tell people it fairly frequently but it's a bit difficult to fit it into a CV. Just add it to your accomplishments and skills section. It takes a lot of work and dedication to get that fast. Employers are impressed by that type of stuff. Just explain the skills it takes to get to that. I am extremely good at chugging. I can easily finish a pint in less than 3 seconds. I've never lost a chugging contest. To add to that, it's in the top 5 sexiest things about me according to my wife. I wish I could put this on there but I feel like I'd miss more than I'd hit with it. I've been a GM for a WoW guild that has lasted 7 years now, and we have multiple realm first achievements. I don't know, it shows you have good leadership skills and people management ability. I was in a coding prank war with a coworker. I wrote a Windows service that would detect when he closed Visual Studio and change his config to use Comic Con. I had named the service after our antivirus vendor and installed it on everyone else's machine, but only messed with him, so he wouldn't get suspicious. Drove him nuts for weeks before he admitted defeat. I founded a union that now represents more than 1,000 workers at 34 worksites, and I served as its president for 6 years, holding countless numbers of crappy employers accountable. Hey, that sounds really impressive. Why would you not put that on? When I was new to the Air Force we had a Logistics Compliance Assessment Program inspection, LCAP for short. I had been in my shop about 2 weeks and had no idea what I was doing. It's a pretty tense time, as any failures or infractions can get the hammer dropped on you. My SSGT was showing the inspector, our SMSGT, second highest enlisted rank, our files so he could see if we were storing them appropriately. My MSGT was furiously taking notes. I was looking over their shoulder trying to learn what the heck was going on, and a fart snuck up on me. Being against the wall amplified the sound. It was a good one too, about a 3-second trumpet blast. My SSGT facepalmed and scrambled to open the window. My MSGT was a very intense woman. I learned that day that she was strong in the force as she choked me with her eyes. After a few seconds the inspector just started laughing his butt off, and everyone else followed suit. He grabbed his notepad, thought for a second and said, "I don't know how to write that up as an infraction. You know what? Here you go," and handed me an LCAP coin. For those of you unaware, being coined is a recognition for an accomplishment. I was one of 2 people in a squadron of 350 to be coined during that 3-day inspection. A few hours later my squadron commander, a major, walked in. We all went to attention and he put us at ease and said, "Where is he?" All eyes went to me as I tried not to crap myself. He walked up, shook my hand and said, "Son, in all my time, that is the funniest freaking story I've heard at an inspection." So my resume says officially recognized during Logistic Compliance Assessment Program for having a positive impact on morale. I'm proud of myself for quitting drinking, but have a hard time fitting that into any conversation, so I generally don't. That's awesome though. Stay sharp. Hope to join you. Ed, 6 weeks sober. Feeling better. I once beat up a dude who was bullying a kid with Down syndrome at a weird traveling fair thing once. He was at least 5 years older than the kid and following him around doing impressions of him and tripping him. A carny style guy pulled me off him while I held his hair and tried to smack his head off a helter-skelter. I was an angry youth. You know you're going hard when a carny has to step in. I run a Tumblr account with a 100k plus followers, but I can't tell anyone, because the obvious follow-up would be, oh, what's the account and that's my business. I ate a foot-long chili cheese dog while driving home to my sick wife and didn't spill it on myself or the car once. I did this last night and have been wondering how to tell someone. Thanks for asking this today. When I get really stoned, I can orgasm without touching myself. That's not such a rare skill. I think most people could probably orgasm without touching you. It took me 10 years to get my BA. I went through so many upheavals, breakups, sleeping in my car, major health problems and unemployment, followed by 2-3 jobs at a time to catch up. I finally finished, though. I make $500 per month from drawing nude anime girls in fetish situations. Those $2 months are hard then. I caught 'em all. I have written somewhere between 1 and 2 million words of real hardcore fetish erotica. I loved every minute of it, and I made a dang fine living doing it, too. I savored every 5-star review. I loved knowing that people were getting off to stuff I'd written, even the really weird out there commission stuff. I don't put that in my portfolio. Incredibly good at lying about my abilities and capabilities, thus getting jobs I'm in no way qualified to hold, and that's the only ability I'm not lying about. My brother and I managed to single-handedly change the price of an all-you-can-eat buffet in the US when we were young. The price was $1 for kids under 12. It wasn't when we went back. I'm an Eagle Scout, but that doesn't mean much to anyone after you're 22 and older. As a 31-year-old, that would look strange. It really depends on who is reading the resume. If you were never in the Scouts, you are right, it means noting. But as you can tell by a few of the comments here, it means something to them. I would see it on par with going to the same school as your interviewer. It will give you something to talk about in the interview. I've played 2,000 plus hours of Rocket League without dying from the toxicity. I'm at 500 hours and I have definitely come close to lethal levels. Well done. I dropped out of regular college, but I did finish clown college. I work in software. It wasn't a complete loss. Knowing how to hold yourself and present in front of others is an undervalued skill, as is making folks laugh. Hard to communicate that on a resume though. OMG, this exploded overnight. Thanks guys. Sad thing is I don't think I can say my Reddit post once got 23.3k views and 12.9k comments on my resume. I was a child laborer in Mexico, along with my 3 brothers. We worked 72 hours a week, 6 days of the week. Only reason we didn't work Sunday is because the owner was Christian. We were given 1 instant ramen cup a day, which was exceedingly generous of him. We were paid 100 pesos a day. My brothers, father, and I worked hard so my sister and mother wouldn't have to. We Mexicans value women with high regard, a part of the macho culture that media doesn't show and I've firsthand lived. We couldn't exist without women and we know it. We eventually saved enough to emigrate from MX to the US the right way. I am proud of it, and now that I'm months away, 16 years later, from finally getting my citizenship, it hurts me to see America in her current state. I value the American dream. Why don't people born here love it too? It's mind-blowing that America has become such a stagnant red and blue, and there seems to be no violet in between. There seems to be no middle ground like the founding fathers would have wanted. We are in an America where both liberal and conservative ideals are discussed via insults and explosions to one another, such as liberal retards or Trump idiots. Where is the middle ground? The civility? The third major political party? Why must there be so much polarization due to the online bots? Perhaps a middle point would help America more than her residents know. Anyway, I am proud of that labor and working my butt off 8/8 to bring the best to my family. I'd never put that on a resume, but goddammit am I proud of it. P.S. I don't like the word undocumented. I am legal, not documented. I paid over $10,000 to the USIS and DHS for my green card over the years after being granted a temporary visa, and later a working temporary one. Went back into the working force at 15 to pay for it, as has my family. I know a few illegals, good and bad. They're still here illegally. Some came from violent areas or had no other choice. They seem more deserving than some entitled illegals I've met here in TX. That's ICE's business to do something with it, but when they call themselves undocumented and say they have a right to be here because their parents moved here with a tourist visa a decade ago, no wall is gonna fix that. BTW. We need a different approach to moderate illicit immigration. That does bother me. Anyway, I am content with my infant labor days to get to America the beautiful. Murica. PSS. I once won a Black Lotus at a Magic tournament. I sold it 2 years later for $1,900 when I bought my house. Paid for some of my furniture. I've just got into bouldering. Last night was the second session of a course I'm doing and I managed to get to a really difficult hold. My entire body was screaming not to go for it, but I did and it worked out. Sounds stupid, but it's been a long time since I've been challenged like that and it was exhilarating. Bouldering climbing has been one of the greatest hobbies I've gotten into. It's so rewarding to be able to complete routes or meet new goals as well as have a great social atmosphere. Oh my god. I have been waiting my whole life for this question. I even mentioned it at the end of the job interview for the company I am working for now. I am amazing at guessing the time. For example, if I am hanging out and someone asks what time is it, without looking at a watch or a phone I can tell you within 5 minutes of the correct time. I'm talking about after a couple hours of not looking at a clock. I'll be less than 5 minutes off every time. I mentioned this in the interview. It was in a light-hearted time where it was appropriate. After we had already been in there for almost 50 minutes and as we are shaking hands goodbye, they ask what time is it now, and I was off by a minute. They all laughed and I swear that's why they hired me. I'm the boss, so there aren't any resumes. I'm really proud of the fact that I drive a 12-year-old car and don't live gaudy like some other business owners in town. Hi Tom, nice Bentley. I do this to make sure I can pay my few employees well and save money to expand the business into real estate. I'm putting off big living for 20 years so I can skip to really big living. It also means I have savings for medical emergencies for people in my family. That I was in the Marine Corps. I freaking hate people asking me questions about it or saying, "Thank you for your service." That crap makes me feel awkward as frick. Luckily I'm far enough away from that experience that I don't really need to state what I did when I was that young. Plus the confusion people have on proper nomenclature and all that jazz is semi-infuriating to the former Marine in me. Just easier to avoid the conversation altogether. I've only been out for a few years and I already avoid telling people. I forget how it came up, but I was at a tailor getting a suit done and somehow told this old Italian tailor I was a Marine. His whole response to me changed. He started yelling everything he said and calling me soldier constantly. I know he meant well, but beating drug addiction. It's one of those things that from my perspective is by far the hardest thing I have ever done and continue to do. To practically anyone else in the world it just means I was a junkie at one point. I don't tell anyone about it. I literally made another man vomit from a single fart. It was glorious, but I'm also probably to blame for our environmental problems. I have metal in my skull as a result of brain surgery. I'm proud of dealing with my seizure condition, a brain tumor, and the 2 years of recovery it has, so far, taken. It isn't something to put on a resume though, as it's more of a cool story than an accomplishment. Also, I didn't kill myself while dealing with severe depression, but there's at least a few dozen others who can say the same. That I've written over 1 million words of Harry Potter fanfiction. Haha, me too. Well, not 1 million words actually. I rewrote the first 3 books from Hermione's perspective and kept pretty close to the original's word count. Never let anyone read them though. Edit startled by the response, lol, the prose of a rabidly fiending 16-year-old HP fan isn't anything worth reading. But I'll see if editing rewriting is feasible. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.